So this is a typical course where you learn about Python, how to apply Python, and what are the various details that you are going to learn in due course. Means starting from say the installation part, like how to create your own IDE, so or like make the dev setup, local setup, GitHub, creating a GitHub account and access, how to create a project there. So all the code will be in the GitHub. I will not share anywhere. So you need to know how to clone or get download from it. That's how you work in real time. So I give slowly the emphasis in the direction such that you don't feel uncomfortable in after going to the jobs. And then like we will work on the importance of Python, like what are the major differences earlier used to be there between 2 and 3, but now it's only one version, but still history is something good to learn. And about the basic grammar about the language and arithmetic and string operations and how to use the help and PyDoc. So down the line, I'll make you learn how to create your own documentation also. And next about the language components. So starting from say the relational operations till the latest structural pattern matchings, Walrus operators, all these things I will help you. Then we will work on the exception handling. Why an exception comes, when we need to handle it, what kind of ways we can handle it, what all things that you need to take care during this handling, and what are the tracebacks and warnings to help you. And then like about the debugging, if there were any logical errors, how to debug it, what is the actually a logical error, so what do you mean by error and a logical error, the difference, all those things I will tell. Then we will learn about the collections as a module. So in collections, like Python comes with 4 data structures built in, which are like list, tuple, set, and dictionary. What are these data structures? How different they are? First of all, what is the beauty of a data structure? So for what purposes we need to use something? It's simply to say like everyone has the data, means like assume that you have water. A simple example is like for drinking, you need to take a glass of water, glass to take that water. So for washing utensils, you need to have a bucket to take. So if you want to go for a lawn and if you want to do, you need to have, so a different device, means like a tube and others. If the same water is needed for like a farm, then you need a big tank or, so that amount. Means based upon the purpose, the same water is there, but you're using different containers. In the same fashion for data also, the data structures are needed for different purposes. What is that they are uniquely serving? So what is their purposes individually and working on them? And we have a vast variance of functional programming. So if you compare with the traditional, more functional programmings like these days Go language or way back like closures. So compared to any other language, Python has also equally good amount of ecosystem. We will start learning with functions with no arguments till functions with any number of arguments, or functions within functions, or functions calling another functions. So higher order functions, recursive, inner, closures, decorators. So decorators is like a pattern. It's a design pattern that you will learn. So this is one of the unique design pattern that Python supports. Uh, and it's a very easy and like useful in a daily day basis. Then you will learn about the iterables, iterators, generators, coroutines. What are their advantages? How we need to work with them. Then in terms of the Python modules, the very basic Python modules which any developer needs, no matter where they're gonna be. So means still there were a lot of modules. Python itself is supporting like so millions of modules are there. I would say like I can give a list of that modules also to help you understand. But they were like very much more. So then like how to handle that in that case? So what all the list of things that you have to check on that? We have the things, what all modules and like file systems. What kind of file systems that Python support? So we can create literally any file system. So be it flat, non-flat, structured, unstructured, semi-structured. So how to work with those files, binary files, PDF, config files, So then like logging. So logging is the most important thing. So no matter where you go, you need to know how to create an event, how to work with an event. So all those things I will explain there. Then compared to the object-oriented programming, like what is object-oriented programming? So what are the different ways of doing? What are the four, properties of that? And how all these things can help us. And there's a slight difference between OOPS of Python compared to other languages. In Python, so we don't have something private variables, private methods for hiding the things. Means even we can access a private variables. Those are not access specifiers. Then what is the purpose means to avoid accidental override. Means Python is the only language, in my view, I have seen that it supports multiple inheritance. So you might have seen C++, Java, they support uh, inheritances, but very few supports like multiple inheritance. Python is something uniquely supports multiple inheritance. So what is the advantage and what is the problem? There is something called as method resolution order. So which that you will understand. Then about the code quality, which is a paramount importance as a developer. No matter which field you want to go, be it data science or data engineering or like application development, you need code quality information. So how to create a unit test, how to create an integration test. What is the typing? So, and like regular expressions, and then the databases. So you will work about the file system based database and relational database and no relational database. Then we will work on the APIs, how to create an API, how to consume an API. Then like the data science modules, like statistics, NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, etc. Finally, you will learn about the AWS cloud. In AWS cloud, you will see about what all the basic services in AWS. As a data engineer, what all things that you gonna use it. So it's not like there were like millions of so too many things are there in tools, but like what you need as a individual person means like typically Boto 3, so S3 buckets, Lambda, step functions, gate API gateway, so RDS and DynamoDB. So these kind of things you need. So as a developer, what all things are needed? So those things I will cover up. API gateway and others. This is what like the entire course gonna be. Now tell me like where you have a problem, where you want to more focus, so that I can tell you there. So if you are very new to the Python ecosystem, I can quickly show you like what is Python about and what it can do. So in Python, like we can create literally any functional issue. And in if you see the function Python stats, I'm taking the stats of like the previous year. You can see like if you are investing time in Python as a language, you will not regret down the line because Python is like the most uh, famous these days, and it is also booming a lot. With the rate which it is getting progress, you can expect at least 5 to 7 years. So it will be there here. Means it is like a decadal program. So previous decade was predominantly dominated by Java. I would say like this decade is completely dominated by Python, as it was done previously with Java and previously with C++ 1 decade, earlier C language like that. So it's a decadal language, I would say. So if you invest the time, no matter which domain you're going, so it would be helpful. And also the rate at which the growth is happening, if you see, the growth trends is like Python is much more big, which itself tells you that if you invest some time, it would be more helpful. And the most common rankings like TIBCO and others are also saying that how Python is growing up year on year compared to the other languages. And similarly, if you see the other things, even in the Stack Overflow also, the most asked questions are like Python and JavaScript. And like, so this is a simple analogy for you to understand what is the beauty of Python. In Python, in fact, if you want to do something, so the simple analogy is that if you use any of the tools, you need to operate as a human being. But if you use this tool, what do you mean by that? You need to know where to place, that's it. It will chop off the everything. Means you don't need to do anything, right? So means like everything will be done in the backend. Who will done? Because there's a modules. If we need to know how to use the modules for each of the purposes, what is the point? So like that. And Python is a very unique in such a way that it supports four programming paradigms together. Means there were languages which are only procedural, which are languages which are declarative, like a SQL statements. Languages which are object oriented, like writing everything in classes. Object classes functions which are functional only. We need to write everything in functions only. If it's a C language, we need to have functions only, right? So Go language is also same. So like that, but Python supports all of them together. What is the unique, how it supports all these things means, if we take a simple example of a demo, you will understand. If I can start with, I have written a file called as demo.py. Now, if I want to learn it, I need to just go to the terminal and run on this file. So just need to go to the terminal, new terminal I am going. And in the terminal, I need to navigate to the directory where this file is there and just execute it. So if I say I want to go to a particular path, means so you can go to the directory and do it also. In Windows, we have a big paths. To avoid that, I gave a small statement. Just type like Python. What are the file name is there? If you just type it, it will execute. In fact, there is nothing that was written. So it will not throw any error. If there is anything, it will execute. And if you compare in a Python language, if you want to create a hello world program, you need not write like a big syntax. In a typically, if I compare with Java, we need to write a class, we need to have methods, and we need to define everything to just print hello world. If I want to print the same hello world, just write the statement, that's it. If you execute again next time, you see output came. And similarly, not only that, so we can do like a number of good things here. So if I can start with first, if I want to do some kind of operation, say number one is equal to 100, number two is equal to 200, and I want to do the addition and print the result. So add result is equal to number one plus number two. And if you want to print it, I can say like add result. So now you see here in this example, it's a very simple thing. If I execute, so it will print the hello world, which is the first statement, and take these two numbers, add, and give the result as 300. So similarly, if you, this is kind of like descriptive, means everything you wrote like very open. Then like if you want to create a function to do the same, everything has its advantage. But if you are doing with this, you can do with a more amount of things. Say define addition. I wrote like a function. Okay. In function, if I write like I can take number one and number two and return number one and plus number two. What is the beauty of this is that I can do the addition now with just two numbers. Say, so 10 and 20 I can do. So I can do with like 100 and 200. So that is the advantage of functions, right? Means you can do on different kinds of values instead of repeating the logic. So this is what the advantage. If I clear the screen and run again, you can notice the same function. As we have gone with a functional oriented programming, things became much faster. Means each has its advantage. So method one is like, so procedural oriented. Okay. So this you understood. Similarly, if I go for the next one, method two, functional oriented. So that is also a way. So that is also a possibility. And the third one, Python supports is using the object oriented. Method three, object oriented. So there will be very few languages which support all these things together. So Python is one such thing. Say if I define some two functions and define like addition, self. So return, so self comma number one plus self comma number two. You see in this case now, what is happening? I am able to write the addition, subtract addition, right? Now, what is that we can see after defining the class? I can pass this calculator equal to addition and so, and I can print it. Similarly, I can pass like one more example and print the addition result. So like this. So if I execute, I will get it. So advantage of writing a class. You don't worry about what is the syntax, how I'm doing. This is called as a constructor. Leave about it. The advantage of going for a class is that not only just addition, you can do like further more operations. Like if I say define, like subtraction if I want to define. So on the given numbers, you give the numbers once, but you want to compete all of them. Say if I want to do define the multiplication. So I am defining addition, subtraction, multiplication. So all of them together in one place. So now instead of just like addition, I can do all the other operations also. Means like subtraction, multiplication. So like that. Maybe I didn't do the division, leave it. Inconsistent tabs. So yeah, in Python, this is one thing you need to remember whenever you're working. So the tab should be like consistent. You see now, it should work. Okay, it should work now. Yeah, it should. Yes. So like this it works. And you can get the results. Some inconsistency once again. You see now, you will understand. If there is inconsistency also, it will show. That's an easy way to solve it. So, and you can work on it. That's it. Yes. You see now, advantage of this is that like we can combine all of them together in one place and we can get the results. So that's the advantage of going this. So in Python, we can write like a pure statements, or like we can do the procedural oriented, or like you can do the functional oriented, and we can do the object oriented. The same problem can be solved different ways. If you solve different ways, each has its own advantage. You can, based upon the advantage and your necessity, you can take a choice as a developer, but it won't force anything on you, right? So that's the advantage of going for a object or sorry, Python like related things, where we can go with object oriented, functional, or like or procedural as you wish. So similarly, not only this, there is one more thing. If I write like there is one statement, I didn't write anything, just I am writing like one line called as import this. Import this is the only statement I am doing. So I wrote like a one program. Now we see here the beauty I will tell Python some pip 20 something. I'll tell you what is that pip 20 afterwards. But just I import it. If I import this, that's it. I got this much statements. Means this is one of the module. In Python, we call libraries as modules. If you want to use them, we need to load them. Loading is with import. If you import them, we can use it. So this module's purpose is to just tell the philosophy of Python. The philosophy of Python is of like beautiful is better than ugly. So simple is better than complex, like that. So like that, not only this module, there were like many modules like this. So what are the list of modules? If you want to know more about that, you need to go for some sites called as so python.org. This is the official site. So if you navigate that, you can understand the most common sites. Yeah, this is the official site of Python where you can get all the information about Python. So if you want like some jobs also there, documentation is also there. What are the latest versions are there? So the latest version which is there is Python 3.11.3. So, and not just Windows. As I'm using Windows, it is showing the default. But if you're opening from a MacBook, it will show for download for Mac. Means it will understand what is your operating system and try to help you. But if you want all kinds of formats, you can find it. And if you want more details, you can click on the all documents where you can see. So the most recent updates are there, patches and everything it will show. The latest version is 3.11, but till 3.7 it is supporting now. Security patches are there. Others are like bug fixes and others. You can choose one among them for your installations. So this is a very simple installation. And if you want to install, Python, so there are like multiple ways of installing. If you are in Windows, especially, I would recommend you to go for something called as Chocolatey. Chocolatey. Chocolatey is a software. So means like it is for command line installation. So if you want to use the Chocolatey, it's a very simple thing. For the very first time, you need to install Chocolatey, and subsequently with Chocolatey we can install. How it works is like, so first you need to come here. So install Chocolatey, community.chocolatey.com, install Chocolatey. So if you come here, so it will ask for like a couple of steps from you. One is that I want to install from a individual user, right? This is what option you need to take. So it will ask like, hey, take this option, copy, and you need to do it. Where it is saying in your system, open your terminal. So if you open the terminal, you will understand. If I open a terminal, there is something called as PowerShell. You need to check for something called as PowerShell. So if you open PowerShell, PowerShell is one window, Windows PowerShell or PowerShell. This PowerShell you need to open as a admin. So generally everyone will open, there will get some kind of problem because of the permissions. That's where they say that, hey, open this PowerShell as an admin and do the installation. So PowerShell, this time again, like a developer. So PowerShell SE is different. That's like an IDE. Leave over it. But if you click on PowerShell, right click, and we can say like, hey, run as an administrator. Or like right click and also and do it. In both ways it will show. And it will open you a PowerShell environment as an admin. So it will ask for some couple of permissions if you don't have. So once you helped with that, you can give that command. What are the command you have? PowerShell. So it opened multiple things for me. So once it opened the PowerShell, PS will be there in the command line also. You just need to do it. This command, if you execute, it will install Chocolatey. So in my system, Chocolatey was already installed. So that's the reason. So it is not needed for me. But for the very first time, you need to do it. So if the Chocolatey is not installed, it will install it. And subsequently, you don't even need to do a restart. It's up to you if you want to do a restart. But after that, you can do like Choco, install any module like pip install. So, or like, yum install. So here also like that. So as I told you in the Chocolatey software, if you want to navigate and ask for any of the things, you can go to the community and find packages. If I click like find packages, you can see a list of packages. So Python, VS Code, whatnot. So if I say like I want to work on Python, and every time it's recommended to go with official packages. So they only will tell what is the official package. So the Python symbol is there. It says like Python 3.11 or 2. So this is the latest version. If you go to the official website also, it is saying 3.11 is the official. 3.11.3 is latest, which came very recently. So, but like it is supporting 3.11.2. So you can take it. And how do you install? You need not do anything. Just pip install Python, that's it. And the beauty is that whenever this kind of point to 11.2, 11.3, this kind of patches came, so instead of you every time installing the latest version, you can do like an upgrade, that's it. So I am saying like Choco install Python. So after the previous command. So it will say like, hey, do you want to install Python? It is saying run as an admin. If you have run as an admin, then I can do. So I closed and I opened the other terminal, right? So this statement I already executed, so I don't need it because Choco was already installed to me. If I don't have, I can install it. So it was already there. Now I can say like Choco install Python. So it will install it. Already I have Python installed. It is saying that, hey, Python already installed. So then what? If you want to upgrade to, right? So I can say like Choco upgrade, say Python. In the current system, there is already a version. And if it founds a latest version, then it will install. But it said like, you already have the latest version. There is no need. Then how can I know that? So I have a Python installed. Go to the terminal, not just this terminal, any new terminal also you can take. You can open a terminal after installing. Just type Python. The moment you type Python, it should go to a new window like this. Or if it says that, I don't know a command called as Python, then, so sometimes it happens in Windows, right? So just you need to close all the terminals and just reopen a new terminal and type again. In the open in the terminal, and if you type like Python, if it is coming, fine. If still it didn't come, sometimes some registries updates didn't happen. It's very rare, but if it happens, just do a restart. But restart is not mandatory, so it max works. So once you install Python, the next thing that you need to have, like Choco install Python, so we need to have one software we need to work. Whatever I am showing right now is a VS Code. It's a software. So how do you install this one? Again, you can download and install from a browser. That is also a way. Or else I would recommend as a developer to come here itself and here only check. So you want like VS Code. If I check for like VS Code, so for the VS Code also, they will give like a way to do it. VS Code, what is saying? So go runner, rocker. So it's not doing Visual Studio Code, right? So somehow it's not showing Visual Studio Code. Yeah, this is official. You see, Visual Studio Code, official thing. So there is a command, Choco install VS Code. So obviously, Max, all softwares, they will maintain like that. So Choco install VS Code. So my VS Code is already there, but still if you want to install, so open the PowerShell or like even command prompt also is fine. Now onwards, as run as an admin. That's the most important thing. If you run as an admin, so once it comes, I say Choco install VS Code. So for me, already VS Code is installed. So it says like it's already installed. Then what else I can? So it was done. Then if I do like a as an option, it found like the latest version. So it has only installed and it is helping me. So then automatically it will close the existing VS Code, ensure that nothing is like so unopened. So it like safely saves. So you can just join that and it will download. That's it. So you need not do all the setups and all these things. It's a very, very easy setup. So you need to have a VS Code and a Python. So Python is the actual software that you work with. VS Code is the IDE we work with. But apart from these two, in the ecosystem, there were like other software also which can help us. Means like there are something else called as like PyCharm, which most people work with. PyCharm is there, and like there is something called as uh, um, uh, IntelliJ is there. IntelliJ is like another software which is there to help us to work on it. So if you see here, so yeah, it's taking a moment to help me. Pardon?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that there were a couple more options like PyCharm, which mainly Python people will use. If you want to go with PyCharm also, it's fine. But the course I will complete in VS Code only because that is the most commonly used across these days. But it doesn't mean that these are less. These are also equally good and important. So in PyCharm, there are two types of versions. One is professional and community editions. Professional is something which will have a free trial for 30 days and subsequently you need to pay. Whereas community is like open source. You can take this option also. Or if you want to work on multiple languages, then IntelliJ is another option, like VS Code. So and like I really liked PyCharm's debugging a lot. But as a should to be make uniform everything, I go with like VS Code itself for the course. So these two are the softwares which are needed. And in terms of presumptions and prerequisites, I don't expect you to learn anything earlier before this class. So I expect you all to be like a newbies, and I work with you all. Hope it's fine. If you have any doubts, let me know.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, which OS will be more good, like patches, all those things? Because I have MacBook, and I would like to know whether
As
Windows
a
is better.
developer, as a
Yeah.
developer, we should be agnostic with the platform. So we should
Okay.
work with any platform. So I
Okay.
don't recommend that. As a developer, we should be agnostic, no matter
Okay.
which platform we work, because Python is a platform independent. It works
Okay.
equally same in both.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. So if not, then like we can surpass for today.